Pinned Trump says he will do whatever he can to help the country after FBI raid exclusive. Former President Trump said he will do whatever he can to help the country after the FBI's raid of his Mar-a-Lago home last week, telling Fox News Digital that the temperature has to be brought down, while stressing that the American people are not going to stand for another scam. In an exclusive interview with Fox News Digital Monday morning, high first since the raid, Trump said he had his representatives reach out to the Justice Department to offer to help amid outrage over the FBI's unprecedented raid on his private residence last week, in which agents seized classified records, including some marked as top secret. Trump is disputing the classification of those records, saying the records have been declassified. The country is in a very dangerous position. There is tremendous anger, like I've never seen before, over all of the scams, and this new one, years of scams and witch hunts, and now this, Trump said. If there is anything we can do to help, I, and my people, would certainly be willing to do that, Trump said. For more on this story, Trump will do whatever he can to help the country after FBI raid. Temperature has to be brought down, posted by Brooke Singman. Share. Trump says FBI seized 3 of his passports during raid. Former President Donald Trump said the FBI seized 3 of his passports during its raid on Mar-a-Lago last week, calling the unprecedented search an assault. In the raid by the FBI of Mar-a-Lago, they stole my 3 passports, 1 expired, along with everything else, Trump posted on his Truth Social account. This is an assault on a political opponent at a level never seen before in our country. During the search, FBI agents seized classified records, including some marked as top secret. Trump is disputing the classification of those records, saying the records have been declassified. For more on this story, Trump says FBI seized 3 of his passports during raid, calls search an assault on a political opponent, posted by Brooke Singman. Share. Outnumbered reacts to mainstream media celebrating FBI's Trump raid. The panel discussed the media's response to the raid amid growing calls for Justice Department transparency surrounding the incident. Whitaker said on the Faulkner Focus Monday that there are many questions that still need to be answered about the FBI's unprecedented action. Former federal prosecutor calls White House response to Trump raid beyond laughable. Former U.S. Attorney in Utah Brett Tolman joined America's Newsroom to discuss the White House response to the FBI's raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. DeSantis, federal agencies weaponized against people the government doesn't like. Florida Gov. Ron DeSantis, speaking about the FBI's raid at Mar-a-Lago, said government agencies have now been weaponized to be used against people that the government doesn't like. DeSantis made the remark Sunday night at a rally for Blake Masters and Kari Lake, 2 candidates who are running for Senate and governor, respectively, in Arizona. You look at the raid at Mar-a-Lago, I'm just trying to remember, maybe someone here can remind me, when they did a search warrant at Hillary's house in Chappaqua when she had a rogue server and she was laundering classified information, DeSantis said. I don't remember them doing that. They are enforcing the law based on who they like and who they don't like, he added. That is not a republic. Well, it may be. It's a banana republic when that happens. Posted by Greg Norman. Share. Senate Intel Committee sends Biden administration bipartisan request for Mar-a-Lago raid details. Democratic and Republican leaders of the Senate Intelligence Committee sent a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland and Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines over the weekend seeking details regarding the reason behind the FBI's raid of Mar-a-Lago, Axios reported. The unprecedented operation at the home of a former U.S. president prompted questions from both parties, and Intel Committee Chairman Sen. Mark Warner, Democrat Virginia, and Ranking Member Sen. Marco Rubio, Republican Florida, are hoping to get answers. In his remarks, Attorney General Garland claimed there was a substantial public interest in the execution of an unprecedented search warrant on President Trump, Rubio said in a statement to Axios. As such, the Intelligence Committee has asked the Department of Justice to share with us, on a classified basis, the specific intelligence documents seized from Mar-a-Lago. For more on this story, Senate Intelligence Committee sends Biden administration bipartisan request for Mar-a-Lago raid details. Posted by Ron Blitzer. Share. The bulletin, according to a law enforcement source, states that there are increased threats of violence against law enforcement, judiciary, and government personnel in response to the FBI's execution of the search warrant at former President Trump's Florida estate. Since the warrant was executed, the FBI and DHS have seen an increase in violent threats against federal officials on social media, including a particular threat to place a so-called dirty bomb in front of FBI headquarters. General calls for civil war and armed rebellion have also increased in recent days on social media. According to the bulletin, many of the threats include references to the claim that the 2020 election was stolen, in addition to other perceived claims of government overreach. Several of the threats are specific, according to the bulletin, which states that the FBI and DHS have identified multiple articulated threats and calls for the targeted killing of judicial law enforcement and government officials associated with the Palm Beach search, including the federal judge who approved the Palm Beach search warrant. Fox News' Jackie Heinrich contributed to this report. Posted by Adam Sabe's Cher Paul made the announcement in a Twitter post on Saturday. The Espionage Act was abused from the beginning to jail dissenters of World War I. It is long past time to repeal this egregious affront to the First Amendment, Paul said. Posted by Adam Sabe's Cher, Trump reacts to FBI taking some documents covered by attorney-client privilege. Oh great. Former President Donald Trump reacted to exclusive reporting from Fox News that some of the documents taken in an FBI raid on his Mar-a-Lago home were covered by attorney-client privilege Sunday. Trump commented on the news on his Truth Social site, requesting that the documents be returned. Fox News first reported on Saturday that attorney-client documents had been seized. It has just been learned that the FBI, in its now famous raid of Mar-a-Lago, took boxes of privileged attorney-client material and also executive privileged material, which they knowingly should not have taken, Trump wrote. By copy of this truth, I respectfully request that these documents be immediately returned to the location from which they were taken. Attorney-client privilege refers to the legal privilege of keeping communications between attorneys and their clients private. Biden White House refuses to comment on Mar-a-Lago raid. It would be inappropriate. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre declined to comment on the implications of the FBI raid on former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home on Sunday. Jean-Pierre made the statement during an appearance on ABC News. She stated that the FBI investigation into Trump is ongoing and that it would be inappropriate for her to comment. She also stressed that the FBI is completely independent from the White House and has not consulted the White House about the investigation. As you know, top Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee are calling on the Biden administration to do an intelligence assessment of any national security challenges posed by this, said ABC News host Jonathan Karl. Is the president concerned? I cannot comment on this, Jean-Pierre responded. It is an investigation that is currently happening. I hear your question, but it would be inappropriate for me as the press secretary to comment on this. It would be inappropriate for any of us, including the president or anyone in the administration, to comment on this. This is a law enforcement matter, and the Department of Justice is going to move forward as they see fit, she added. Trump lashes out at FBI amid fallout from Mar-a-Lago raid. See what they were willing to do. Former President Donald Trump lashed out at the FBI on social media Saturday night, calling their integrity into question days after they conducted a raid on his private Florida residence. In a series of posts, Trump called the FBI corrupt and claimed their raid at Mar-a-Lago on Monday was just the latest in a series of attempts to undermine him. These claims are unsubstantiated. The FBI has a long and unrelenting history of being corrupt. Just look back to the days of J. Edgar Hoover, the former president wrote on Truth Social, referencing the first director of the Federal Bureau. Trump added, in the modern era, nothing has changed except that it has gotten far worse. The former president then made a series of unverified claims involving former FBI Director James Comey, former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, former FBI agent Peter Strzok, and former FBI attorney Lisa Page. He also referenced the way the FBI impacted the 2016 presidential election. Some records seized at Trump's Mar-a-Lago home were covered by attorney-client privilege, sources exclusive. The FBI seized boxes containing records covered by attorney-client privilege and potentially executive privilege during its raid of former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, sources familiar with the investigation told Fox News, adding that the Justice Department opposed Trump lawyers' request for the appointment of an independent, special master to review the records. Sources familiar with the investigation told Fox News Saturday that the former president's team was informed that boxes labeled A14, A26, A43, A13, A33, and a set of documents, all seen on the final page of the FBI's property receipt, contained information covered by attorney-client privilege. The FBI seized classified records from Trump's Palm Beach home during its unprecedented Monday morning raid, including some marked as top secret. But the former president is disputing the classification, saying the records have been declassified. Attorney-client privilege refers to a legal privilege that keeps communications between an attorney and their client confidential. Andy McCarthy, we have the Fourth Amendment to prevent Mar-a-Lago type raids posted by Adam Sabe's share. Former President Trump reacts to White House claim that it was unaware of FBI raid beforehand. Former President Trump reacted Saturday to the White House saying it was not aware of the FBI's raid of Mar-a-Lago. The White House just announced that it had no knowledge of the early morning raid on Mar-a-Lago, or the break-in of Melania's closets, my safes, or the secured and locked storage area where unclassified documents were safely held, and which the FBI knew of, was shown, and made recommendations that another lock be added, which they cracked, but not with the safecracker that they brought with them. Does anybody really believe that the White House didn't know about this? Witch hunt, Trump said in a Truth Social post. Posted by Adam Sabe's share. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton said Trump often asked if he could keep sensitive docs. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton said that former President Trump would often ask his intelligence briefers if he could keep sensitive documents that were shown to him. Bolton said that the practice worried me. Fox News' Lucas Tomlinson contributed to this report. Posted by Adam Sabe's share. Former President Trump's lawyers certified in June that no classified material remained at Mar-a-Lago. Former President Trump's lawyers certified in June that no classified material was still at Mar-a-Lago, two sources with knowledge of the investigation tell Fox News. Agents from the Federal Bureau of Investigations executed a search warrant of former President Trump's Florida estate on Monday and seized items which include 11 sets of material that are listed as classified. Trump said after the warrant was publicly released on Friday that the documents taken by federal agents were all declassified. Trump's lawyers previously held a high-level meeting with people from the Justice Department and the FBI, which the former president briefly attended, but it's unclear if the letter was signed during the meeting. Lawyers for former President Trump could face serious legal consequences if they knowingly gave false information to law enforcement. Fox News' Bill Mears contributed to this report. Posted by Adam Sabe's share. Department of Justice has really gone out on a limb on Mar-a-Lago raid. Former DOJ spokesman, if they do not get what they are looking for or what they are trying to sell to the American people, I don't know how Merrick Garland remains Attorney General after this November, former DOJ spokesman Ian Pryor says. Especially if, as we expect, Republicans take the House of Representatives. Posted by Caitlin McFall share. Rick Scott. Republicans are going to find out exactly why the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago. If they believe in Congress' right of oversight, they should be able to give us all the information. If they want to give it to me in a classified setting, they can do that, Florida Republican Sen. Rick Scott told Fox News. But the American public needs to have a much better understanding of why they did this, what information did they have, why the judge made the decision. There's a lot of unanswered questions here, and they're hurting themselves, and they're hurting this great country, he added. Media. Rick Scott. Republicans are going to find out exactly why the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago. Sen. Rick Scott called for congressional oversight regarding the FBI's raid of Mar-a-Lago, saying Republicans will find out what happened when they take control of Congress on the Ingram angle. Posted by Caitlin McFall share. General Services Administration says Trump admin decided what documents were taken to Florida. A spokesperson for the General Services Administration told Fox News that the Trump administration was responsible for deciding what documents were taken to Florida. As part of the services and support GSA provides to all outgoing presidents, GSA typically contracts for the transportation of items identified by the outgoing president as necessary to wind down the affairs of their office. The responsibility for making decisions about what materials are moved rests entirely with the outgoing president and their supporting staff. Any questions about the contents of any items that were delivered, e.g. documents, are the responsibility of the former president and his supporting staff and should be directed to their office, the spokesperson said. Fox News' Mark Meredith contributed to this report. Posted by Adam Sabe's share, Vice President Kamala Harris says that she has full confidence in DOJ after warrant release. Vice President Kamala Harris said on Friday that she has full confidence in the Department of Justice after the search warrant that was used during the FBI raid of former President Trump's Florida residence was unsealed. Well, as a former prosecutor, I will tell you, I don't speak about anybody else's case, but I have full confidence that the Department of Justice will do what the facts and the law requires, Harris said in response to a reporter's question. She also called attacks on law enforcement unacceptable. And any so-called leader who engages in rhetoric that in any way suggests that law enforcement should be exposed to that kind of danger is irresponsible and results in dangerous activities. You know, our law enforcement. And in this case, we're talking about our federal law enforcement agencies. They do very important work. And from the moment they walk out the door of their home until they go back in, their families pray for their safety and well-being. And I think it's just highly irresponsible of anyone who calls themselves a leader, and certainly anyone who represents the United States of America, to engage in rhetoric for the sake of some political objective that can result in harm to law enforcement officers and agents, Harris said. Posted by Adam Sabe's share, breaking news: search warrant for President Trump's Florida residence unsealed by judge. The search warrant used by the FBI during their raid of former President Trump's Florida residence was unsealed on Friday. The warrant includes a list of seized property. It states that the 45 office, all storage rooms, and all other rooms used by Trump and his staff were searched. The unsealed warrant states, all physical documents and records constituting evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, or other items illegally possessed in violation of 18 U.S.C. Fox News' Bill Mears contributed to this report. Posted by Adam Sabe's share, former President Trump's legal team informs government they formally support release of warrant. President Trump's legal team has informed the Department of Justice that they formally support the release of the search warrant of Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. Earlier on Friday, President Trump said on Truth Social that the documents taken by the FBI did not include classified information. Posted by Adam Sabe's share, former President Trump says documents taken by FBI were all declassified. Former President Trump said in a Truth Social post on Friday that all documents taken by the Federal Bureau of Investigations were all declassified. Number 1, it was all declassified. Number 2, they didn't need to seize anything. They could have had it any time they wanted without playing politics and breaking into Mar-a-Lago. It was in secured storage, with an additional lock put on as per their request, Trump said. They could have had it any time they wanted, and that includes long ago. All they had to do was ask. The bigger problem is, what are they going to do with the 33 million pages of documents, many of which are classified, that President Obama took to Chicago? The National Archives and Records Administration said in a press release on Friday that former President Obama isn't in control over presidential records from his administration. The National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, assumed exclusive legal and physical custody of Obama presidential records when President Barack Obama left office in 2017, in accordance with the Presidential Records Act, PRA. NARA moved approximately 30 million pages of unclassified records to a NARA facility in the Chicago area where they are maintained exclusively by NARA. Additionally, NARA maintains the classified Obama presidential records in a NARA facility in the Washington, D.C. area. As required by the PRA, former President Obama has no control over where and how NARA stores the presidential records of his administration, the statement reads. Posted by Adam Sabe's share, FBI seized classified records from Mar-a-Lago during search of Trump residence. FBI agents seized classified records from former President Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago during its unprecedented raid on Monday, including some marked as top secret, according to documents reviewed by Fox News. U.S. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhart signed the warrant on August 5, giving the FBI authority to conduct its search on or before August 19, 2022. And in the daytime 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. The locations to be searched include the 45 office, all storage rooms, and all other rooms or areas within the premises used or available to be used by POTUS and his staff, and in which boxes or documents could be stored, including all structures or buildings on the estate, the warrant states. but did not give authority to agents to search areas being occupied by Mar-a-Lago members or not used by Trump and staff. For more on this story, FBI seized classified records from Mar-a-Lago during search of Trump residence posted by Brooke Singman. Share Republican members of the House Intelligence Committee hold news conference on Trump FBI raid posted by Fox News. Share Trump questions whether FBI planted evidence at Mar-a-Lago during raid. Former President Donald Trump, in a Truth Social post Friday, suggested that the FBI planted evidence during the raid earlier this week of his Mar-a-Lago residence, without backing up his claim. The comment comes after sources told the Washington Post Thursday that classified documents relating to nuclear weapons were among the items FBI agents were looking for in Florida. Nuclear weapons issue is a hoax, just like Russia was a hoax, 2 impeachments were a hoax, the Mueller investigation was a hoax, and much more. Same sleazy people involved, Trump said. Why wouldn't the FBI allow the inspection of areas at Mar-a-Lago with our lawyers, or others, present? Made them wait outside in the heat, wouldn't let them get even close, said absolutely not planting information anyone? Posted by Greg Norman. Sheriff Trump fires back at AG Merrick Garland over FBI's Mar-a-Lago raid, release the documents now. After a federal judge gave the Justice Department a deadline to determine whether former President Trump supports or opposes unsealing the search warrant and property receipt used by the FBI to search his Mar-a-Lago home Monday, the former president said he heartily supports the move. Release the documents now, Trump wrote on Truth Social at 11:40 p.m. ET Thursday, just hours after the judge's decision was announced. In a pair of posts, Trump called the raid on his Florida estate un-American, unwarranted, and unnecessary and said he approved of the immediate release of the warrant. For more on this story, Trump fires back at AG Merrick Garland over FBI's Mar-a-Lago raid, release the documents now. Posted by Lawrence Richard. Share Lara Trump raid changed how Americans see America. Lara Trump blasted the FBI's raid on former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, saying Garland's presser raised more questions on Tucker Carlson tonight. Gutfeld, what's next after Mar-a-Lago raid? Panelists react to U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland's press conference addressing the FBI's raid on former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home and the media falling in line against calling it a raid. Trump lawyer, this is what the Democrats do. Attorney for former President Donald Trump Christina Bobb blasted U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland's address on the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago on the Ingram angle. Brian Kilmeade on Trump Mar-a-Lago raid, Garland weaponized federal law enforcement. Fox News host Brian Kilmeade voiced his concerns about the FBI's raid on former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, Attorney General Merrick Garland's role and its implications on Tucker Carlson tonight. FBI Director Chris Wray says unfounded attacks on agency erode respect for rule of law. Unfounded attacks on the integrity of the FBI erode respect for the rule of law and are a grave disservice to the men and women who sacrifice so much to protect others. Violence and threats against law enforcement, including the FBI, are dangerous and should be deeply concerning to all Americans, FBI Director Chris Wray said in a statement. Every day I see the men and women of the FBI doing their jobs professionally and with rigor, objectivity, and a fierce commitment to our mission of protecting the American people and upholding the Constitution. I am proud to serve alongside them. Posted by Bradford Betts. Share Washington Post op-ed condemns Trump supporters for buying into fantasy of persecution after Trump's home was raided by the FBI. Columnist Paul Waldman scorched Trump supporters in a Thursday op-ed for seeing the former president's struggles as symbolic for their own. Titled Why Trump Has to Sell a Fantasy of Collective Persecution, Waldman's piece claimed to readers that Republicans are using cynical victim narratives to rally their base. Right now, with investigations potentially closing in on Trump from multiple directions, they've homed in on a vital message: this isn't about Trump. Posted by Bradford Betts. Share reported Trump FBI informant irrelevant due to former president's cooperation. Source says a source close to former President Trump told Fox News Thursday that new reports suggesting an informant tipped off the FBI about alleged sensitive documents being held at Mar-a-Lago are irrelevant. The source reasoned that Trump and the former president's representatives have been cooperating with the FBI and the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, for a year. Posted by Bradford Betts shared National Archives official who notified DOJ in Trump probe declined to do same in Clinton emails. The official who triggered the federal probe into former President Donald Trump's handling of classified documents opted against doing the same concerning Hillary Clinton's email scandal. David Ferriero, who served as the director of the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, from November 2009 until he retired this past April, said in a February letter to House Oversight Committee leadership that his staff had started communicating with the Department of Justice, DOJ, earlier this year. Posted by Bradford Betts share Senators Lankford, Scott demand Homeland Security briefing on FBI raid of Trump's Mar-a-Lago. GOP Senators James Lankford and Rick Scott are demanding that the Senate be briefed by the FBI, Department of Justice and National Archives regarding the unprecedented raid of former President Trump's Florida residence, Mar-a-Lago. The raid was related to the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, effort to collect records and classified materials the former president allegedly took with him from Washington, D.C., to Mar-a-Lago, a matter the agency referred to the Justice Department. Posted by Bradford Betts share Trump says Mar-a-Lago raid was from left field and with no warning. Politics Trump says Mar-a-Lago raid was from left field and with no warning. Says he was cooperating fully with FBI. Former President Trump said his team was cooperating fully in the Justice Department's probe and said the FBI's raid at Mar-a-Lago was out of nowhere and with no warning. Former President Trump on Thursday said his team was cooperating fully in the Justice Department's investigation into his alleged improper handling of classified records when he left office, stressing that the FBI's raid at Mar-a-Lago was out of nowhere and with no warning. Moments after Attorney General Merrick Garland made a rare public statement from the DOJ, announcing that he personally approved the warrant to search the former president's private residence in Palm Beach, Florida, to search for classified materials he allegedly took with him from the White House when he left office, Trump posted to his Truth Social. My attorneys and representatives were cooperating fully, and very good relationships had been established, Trump posted. The government could have had whatever they wanted if we had it. Posted by Brooke Singman share developing story. Federal judge, DOJ has until 3 p.m. Friday to confirm whether Trump supports unsealing raid warrant. A federal judge Thursday gave the Justice Department until 3 p.m. Friday to certify whether former President Donald Trump supports or opposes unsealing the warrant and property receipt from the FBI's search of his Mar-a-Lago home Monday. The United States shall immediately serve a copy of its motion on counsel for former President Trump, Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhard wrote in an order on the DOJ's motion to unseal the warrant and property receipt. On or before 3 p.m. Eastern Time on August 12, 2022, the United States shall file a certificate of conferral advising whether former President Trump opposes the government's motion to unseal. The order came shortly after Attorney General Merrick Garland addressed the raid on Trump's home for the first time since it happened. Garland said he personally signed off on the search warrant for the raid, and that the Justice Department aims to make more information about it public. Just now, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week, Garland said. That search was a premises located in Florida belonging to the former president. Garland added, the department filed the motion to make public the warrant and receipt in light of the former president's public confirmation of the search, the surrounding circumstances, and the substantial public interest in this matter. Fox News' Kelly Lako contributed to this report. Posted by Tyler Olson share Republicans on Garland approving Mar-a-Lago raid, politically motivated witch hunt. Politics Republicans slam AG Garland for personally approving Mar-a-Lago raid. Politically motivated witch hunt. Republicans slammed Attorney General Merrick Garland after admitting to have personally approved the raid on former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Attorney General Merrick Garland is under fire from congressional Republicans after admitting Thursday to personally approving the raid on former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. The raid Monday was related to the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, effort to collect records and materials the former president took with him from Washington, D.C., to Mar-a-Lago, a matter the agency referred to the Justice Department. GOP lawmakers say Garland's admission did little to tamper criticism of the raid or concerns of the precedent it set. AG Garland's statement about the integrity of the FBI/DOJ would have far more credibility if he at least acknowledged the recent corruption at the bureau/department responsible for eroding public trust, Rep. Jeff Duncan, Republican South Carolina, wrote on social media. The public's declining confidence in the FBI/DOJ hasn't happened without cause. Posted by Horace Alex Scher, Secret Service member very likely provided probably cause for FBI search of Trump. Source: a federal law enforcement source tells Fox News' Jackie Heinrich that it's very likely the information that gave the FBI probable cause to search former President Donald Trump's estate came from a Secret Service member. According to that source, the standard for a federal warrant requires a specific item to be potentially seized, and the location of the item at a specific time. Because Trump at Mar-a-Lago is surrounded by political loyalists and Secret Service law enforcement officers, the federal law enforcement source says, it's likely whoever promised probable cause to the FBI was a law enforcement officer.